Hey everybody, it's Jim with Triple J Bricks. Welcome back to another video. Today we are at the computer and I wanted to talk to you and make a little video about why I started buying bulk Lego and ultimately why I stopped. I made a video back in July of 2023 called How I Buy Bulk Lego, and that will be somewhere up in here for you to check out. And that video goes into detail about where I buy it and kind of talks about price per piece and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to touch on that in this video because a lot of the stuff in there is still very, very accurate to how I would buy it today. This channel is my Lego journey, and I want to talk about a part of this journey that's kind of coming to an end. And I think this video will be beneficial to those of you who watched that video, who are interested in getting started with bulk Lego, and kind of where it might bring you and kind of where you might stop buying it. So let's get into it. In February of last year, when I started to jump back into Lego as a hobby and I just wanted to dive back into it, I had zero. I had no Lego, essentially. I had my childhood collection, but that was back at my parents' place sitting in boxes. And so in March, I ended up picking that stuff up and I started to, do more things like that. But I was really, really wanting to get my hands on some pieces. Now, the variable that's different for me at this point was I hadn't touched, I really hadn't purchased many Lego sets, at least none that I built, for about 20 years at that point, right? So I stopped collecting Lego as a kid in about 2003. So at that point, Star Wars had just, it was like the first couple of years of sort of the Star Wars and Lego sort of partnership. And so I missed out on 20 years of not only sets, but parts. So what I really wanted to do was I wanted to buy a bunch of Lego to just get my hands on some parts, like actually touch them, see all these new pieces that I had no idea existed or what they did. And it allowed me to, through the sorting process and all that kind of thing, it allowed me to really start to figure out how these pieces might be used, where they came from. Then I started to look up sets, all that kind of stuff. So it was really, really valuable to sort of relearn the Lego hobby because back in, the late 90s, early 2000s, there were just a limited number of pieces. There are so many more pieces now than there used to be. And so I needed to kind of learn all that stuff. And I think that's really, really helped me start to be more confident in starting my own mocks and do more building that way that I've touched on in other videos. So really, buying bulk Lego for me at the beginning was a research project, and I still kind of see it as that. At the beginning, I was really just looking to get my hands on parts. I was looking up roughly the cost of what you should be paying for bulk Lego. So there's about 300 Lego pieces per pound of Lego. That's going to vary heavily depending on what types of parts you're getting in the bulk lot and all of those things, right? One by one tile is not the same as a large rock piece. It's just, so it really does depend. I'm sure there are other numbers out there that fluctuate roughly, but that's the number that I found and kind of have gone with. So you want to look to spend about $8 to $12 per pound of Lego. And again, this is in the US, so I'm coming at it from only a US understanding. I'm sure it's maybe more expensive or less expensive depending on where you are in the world. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, so that's what I should be spending. So I was buying a couple things on eBay, but then I started to do more research on it and I started to find some deals on Facebook Marketplace. And so then I was starting to buy things on Facebook Marketplace and I was starting to get my price per piece a lot less. So that ultimately led me to Goodwill finds. I was finding that they were putting on sale a lot and on clearance a lot, and sometimes even both. Like there would be a sale on top of a clearanced item. And so I would wait for those sales. Sometimes I would get 50% off on some boxes. So I was scoring Lego pieces for pennies or less than pennies per part, which was really, really cool. And so I ended up buying too many of those. In fact, there's a bunch that are still sitting in my storage right now, waiting to be cleaned and processed. Yes, those are all boxes from Goodwill finds that are unsorted, uncleaned Lego that need to be processed. So I went a little overboard with it because I'm not even certain all of those parts are going to fit into my current inventory the way I have it. I have stopped purchasing bulk Lego, and I don't think I'm going to buy bulk Lego again unless it was like a really, really, really awesome deal, or there was like minifigures included, or the seller just was trying to get rid of it, and maybe there were some really valuable sets or something. Like, never say never. So when I would buy those boxes, I found a lot of joy in opening them up, sifting through the parts, seeing what I got, cleaning it, sorting it, processing it, creating my organizational system. I love that part of the Lego hobby, but you have to like that part of the hobby to buy bulk Lego because it is a lot of work. If cleaning and processing and pulling out dust and hair and kids' toys and non-Lego parts and broken pieces, if sifting through all that stuff and cleaning Lego and then processing it is not your cup of tea, then buying bulk Lego is not going to be for you. But I think the biggest thing is if you're starting out as a Lego collector, if you're starting out and you maybe just want to get your hands on a bunch of different parts, it can be a lot cheaper than purchasing sets. You know, Lego is a premium product. It's not cheap. And so if you are just unsure of things that you want to do, or maybe you just want to build something, then buying a bunch of parts and getting your hands on that stuff can be really, really awesome. That brings me to the second reason why I don't buy bulk Lego anymore. And the big reason I think why a lot of Lego collectors who have an established collection or who have been doing this for a while don't buy bulk Lego anymore. And I think the big reason is ultimately you're putting in a lot of work and you're going to be getting a lot of parts that you maybe don't need. In the beginning, I was excited to get everything. But now, when I start to sift through some of those parts, I'm like, great, more tires. Do I need more tires? No, I have so many bags of tires that I will probably never use or use very rarely. I have tons of parts in areas that I probably won't touch. Lots of Technic, lots of things that I don't really build. So as you start to refine your Lego collection, you start to figure out the things that you want to build, or maybe you want to start building mocks. Early on, it's great. But then eventually you start to go, okay, well, you know what? I think I need specific parts. I'm looking for specific pieces now, which is why now if I'm going to buy parts, I'm going to be looking for specific things. So I'm probably going to places like Bricklink to purchase some of those things, or on Lego.com's Pick and Build, because now I know what I want and I'm starting to zone in on the things that I want to make. And that's ultimately where my Lego bulk buying journey has sort of come to an end. One, I have many, many more boxes in there that need to get cleaned and sorted, and I will. Those will get processed. In fact, I even have a couple video ideas for how I can start to use some of those boxes. And quite frankly, I still really do enjoy it. I don't want to make it sound like it's not a great thing. I still really do enjoy it. But again, that is a personal preference. Not everybody likes it. I really understand that the cleaning Lego, the processing, the sorting part of this hobby is not everybody's cup of tea. It's sometimes the necessary evil. The other thing I'm excited about doing is trying to find creative ways to use some of those parts, like the tires and Technic elements and car parts and different things like that I don't really build. But I'm excited to come up with creative ways to use some of those parts in ways that are different or that might benefit some of my builds in ways that I never thought they might. So figuring out ways to use some of those pieces, I think, is going to be a really, really cool creative challenge. And those are things that I want to pursue moving forward. And so it's kind of fun to have some of those things where it's like, okay, I got a lot of this stuff. How can I use this in a build to actually use some of these parts and figure out ways to put them into my build? Will I be able to use all of them? Probably not. But I do think it is sort of this creative challenge that I'm looking forward to for myself. And I think it'll make some interesting content for all of you, and it'll push me creatively to figure out how to use some of those pieces that I normally wouldn't. The last benefit to having all of this bulk Lego as sort of the way I've built up my collection is that outside of, looking at making some of the sets that I might be able to make with like the parts that I have, I was really interested in the Castle in the Forest, which was the Bricklink Designer Program from 2021 or 2022. I'm not really sure, but the Bricklink Designer Program sets come out, but they have limited runs, and so they only sell a certain number of sets, so they become really, really hard to find on the secondary market at a good price. And so the Castle in the Forest, it's really hard to find that on Bricklink for under $300, $400. That was just not doable for me. I just didn't want to spend that much money. So I thought to myself, maybe I could part it out or at least get a lot of the parts from some of my inventory that I have. So what I did was I went on and found the instructions and for the Castle in the Forest, and I started to pull the parts from the parts list. And so I started to make a list on Bricklink of wanted items of the parts that I still needed. And that took a little while, but by the time I got to the end, I ended up spending, I think it was a little less than $100. I think it was like $80, $90, something like that. It's been a while now. I think I spent about $80 or $90 to purchase the remaining parts. Now, that's still a considerable sum of money, but considering that I could spend $300, $400 to purchase the set, but get 90 to 95% of the way there with the parts that I was able to purchase from Bricklink and what I have in my inventory that weren't being used, right? That I got for, a penny a piece or whatever. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a pretty good deal. So I feel pretty good about that. We haven't built that yet. That's actually another video that's going to be coming in the future. I feel like I've rambled a lot in this video. There are so many more variables to what I covered. Again, this was just my perspective. So I would love to hear your perspective on it. If you have any tips or tricks to share with other people who might be watching this video, who are interested in buying bulk Lego, it would be massively helpful. I just want to share as much information as I can about this wonderful hobby that I have thankfully found, again, as an adult. And I just want to share more information and more creative goodness with fellow Lego nerds out there. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you have not, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But until then, keep on building. Jim out!